Now, Guy has more details on the proposed changes to Amplat's restructuring plan. He joins us live from Johannesburg. Guy, the current plan appears to be a compromise by Amplats, but is it going to work?
Well, unfortunately, it's really only half the battle, because in the next few weeks, through May and very possibly beyond, we are going to see unions sit down with Amplats bosses and begin what will inevitably be extremely tough wage negotiations. Now, sitting at the table of these negotiations for the first time will be this new union, AMCU, that famously, or some would say infamously, shot to fame last year during that vicious turf war between it and the long-established and ANC-lined NUM union. Now, it essentially came out of that turf war claiming to have won it, claiming to have got the upper hand on a platform, it says, of being able to give workers a better deal. So as those wage negotiations get underway, AMCU is almost inevitably going to be asking for very big wage increases for its new members, and we're hearing double-digit percentage wage increases. That's something that Amplats bosses aren't going to accept. They're going to say they can't afford it. They're going to say they can't afford it partly as a result of this compromise they've had to make, and they'll also be looking very closely at that platinum price. If it continues to drop as it has been until just recently, they're going to say there's no way that they can afford to make those kind of big increases that the unions might well demand. So it does alleviate Amplats' pain for just a little while, but I think going forward through the months and towards the end of the year, there's going to be more pain to come.
All right, Guy. Now, what about the rest of the mining industry? Are we going to see a repeat of last year's widespread wildcat strike action?
Well, South Africa at the moment is coming into what's known as the strike season, that time when employers and unions across many sectors get together and try and hammer out wage deals. So there will inevitably be strike action of some sort. Whether it'll spiral out of control and we'll see those wildcat strikes as we did last year, I think it's less likely that it'll happen, at least to the same extent, partly because the memory of Marikana, those terrible memories of Marikana, do still loom large in the memory of all South Africans. I think a lot will rest on this new union, AMCU. It, of course, over the course of just a few short months, managed to gain a great deal of support, both in the platinum and gold sectors. In that teleconference this morning with the CEO of Amplats, Chris Griffiths said that official statistics now showed that 41% of its workforce were now AMCU aligned, and that the traditional union in the platinum sector, the NUM, now only enjoyed 35% of support. It'll be interesting to see going forward, firstly, whether AMCU will be willing or able to maintain some sort of control and order over what was and what remains a very angry and very disenchanted new membership. And number two, it'll be interesting to see to what extent this new union will be willing or able to compromise at the negotiating table. Now, of course, compromise should be and has traditionally been at the very essence of negotiation, but if AMCU is seen to give away just even a little bit to mining bosses, we could see some of that very new and probably slightly fickle support fade away very quickly indeed. There is also this final aspect of a section of workers that may not be unionised at all. I've spoken to some of the wildcat strikers that organised some of those wildcat strikes last year. They've told me that they are planning a wildcat strike action going into next week to protest at these Amplats job cuts. Now, we don't know what number they're in, and in the long run, you might argue that they're not very well organised and may not be able to achieve a great deal. But in the short term, as these strikes get underway, they may be able to cause some serious disruption.
All right, thank you very much. Guy Henderson there, coming to us live from Johannesburg, giving us some insight into the difficulties being faced by the South African mining sector.